Now, look, I wouldn't usually do a video about a power ranking, but for whatever reason, Mike Florio's at Pro Football Talk, it just got to me. It got to me today. I wanted to do a video about it. I wanted to do a video explaining some of my issues with it. Now, anybody watching this who maybe has not followed Seahawks Draft Blog or my channel for the last few years, I am not a homer. I do not expect the Seahawks to be in the top 5 or even in the top 10. I think the Seahawks pick, was it 16th overall in the draft? They were right bang in the middle of the NFL last year. I don't personally understand why the Seahawks are ranked 6 places lower than they were in the overall NFL ranking that constitutes the NFL draft. And I can understand why some people who are just sort of looking at the Seahawks from the outside in would say that they have got a rookie head coach. They've got a rookie offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, that maybe that's just going to be too much for them. It's going to be a learning curve. They may well look at the Seahawks and go, well, you haven't got Joe Burrow and you haven't got Mahomes and you don't have quite the same luster and buzz as the Lions and the Packers, who made a bit of noise in the playoffs, for example. You didn't have a really great regular season last year like the Ravens, or have the MVP playing for you at quarterback. I understand all of those things, and I do not expect the Seahawks to be a top, say, 8 team in this power ranking or even in the top 10, but to have them at 22nd? Like, what is this? Like, I don't understand why the Seahawks are being as underrated as they are. Like, are the Seahawks better than the Colts right now? Yeah, I would say that they are. And look, we get to find out from next Sunday. These teams are going to play. We'll get to see how good the Seahawks are. But the Colts have got a bit of a question mark because Anthony Richardson's, he couldn't stay healthy last year. If he doesn't play, it's Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco did very well with Kevin Stefanski and Cleveland last year. Can he do that again at his age if he has to play? And who'd bet against him having to play at some point, given we've not seen that Anthony Richardson can stay healthy in the NFL? The Colts don't have a whole cluster of exciting playmakers on offense. You've got receivers that, they've not. Have they done more than DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett? Some of them they've got some promise at certain positions, but so have the Seahawks. And you'd expect that, the likes of Jackson Smith and Jigba will take a step. Devin Witherspoon will take a step. Boya Mafe, Derek Hall. You get the picture. I don't see how the Colts can be rounded to the Seahawks. The Jaguars were awful last year. Like, is this just like a Trevor Lawrence thing whereby because he had so much hype coming into the league, even though he has not delivered on that hype, there's still like a little bit of a bump for the Jaguars because of Trevor Lawrence? I don't understand why they're there. I think the Cowboys next are probably a bit too low, given what they did last year. Now, there's some question marks around the Cowboys, but should they be below the Falcons, for example? I mean, God, we'll come on to them. I think the Chargers should probably be a little bit higher because of Harbaugh. They have quite a decent roster with some very good players. They obviously have the quarterback. He's got a foot injury at the moment, but you'd expect that he's going to be able to work around that. Harbaugh just comes into places, and the teams seem to be very tough and physical and hard to beat right off the bat. Okay, the Rams, we've talked about them in my prediction thing. I think they're a little bit overrated. They've lost Aaron Donald. They're probably a bit down on where they would expect to be as well, but whatever. The ones that I have an issue with more than anything, how are the Falcons at 16? This is a team that ended up picking 8th in the draft. Like, what has happened with the Falcons is an injured Kirk Cousins really enough to elevate the Falcons from being one of the 10 worst teams in the NFL to a top half team, considering that their first round pick was spent on a backup quarterback or a quarterback of the future, if we're going to be more generous with that appraisal? Why are they 16th? Why are the Steelers 15th? Like, is their defense that good? I mean, it's an aging defense. Watt is obviously very, very good. But what about the offense right now and the question mark of the quarterback position warrants the Steelers being a top 15 team? The Jets have been a hot mess for a long time. And Aaron Rodgers has not played since like the 4th snap of the first game of last season. And you're going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they're going to be the 14th ranked team in this power ranking? I mean, do we not have to see the Jets actually do something before we start rating them this highly? The Bears, who, again, were picking high in the draft within the top 10. They have a rookie quarterback who has got unbelievable talent, but he's going to be led by Shane Waldron. Are the Bears, is he right now, can you honestly say that the Bears are the 13th best team in the NFL? That to me is a power ranking you make a month into the year when Caleb Williams has shown that he can hit the ground running. That is not a ranking that you made now. I think it's generous with the Browns. Deshaun Watson is a disaster. They caught fire with Flacco. If Watson can't play, are they going to be able to do it with DTR? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Nick Chubb's still not back. Obviously, Myles Garrett's exceptional. They're very well coached. 12th best team? Not sure. And then the Buccaneers at number 9. I mean, come on. I mean, they won the NFC South by default last year. And yes, they got a playoff win and then a playoff loss. So, has that propelled them into the top 10? What about the Buccaneers with Liam Cohen, who in his only other job as an offensive coordinator was a one and done with the Rams? And Baker Mayfield, who's now being paid. Like, what has turned the Bucs into a top 10 team? It really does not make sense to me, this. And then when you go down to the bottom of the list, the fact that the Cardinals are below the Giants. The Cardinals are by no stretch an exciting playoff caliber team, in my opinion. But the Giants are a hot mess. So are the Raiders. I don't know how you can put the Cardinals below either of those teams. And the Commanders have to show that Jaden Daniels is ready. I mean, this is what I don't get. Like, the Bears are suddenly the 13th best team, but the Commanders are still at the 27th. It's almost as if the Commanders are ranked with a show me something, and the Bears are just being told, great, 13th best team in the league. Someone explain it to me. And then from the Seahawks perspective, yeah, you could say, well, new coach, new defensive coordinator, new special teams coordinator, defensive coordinator, whatever. Yes, there's not a lot of experience within the top coaches. You could also say that when you look at last year's Seahawks, they were crying out for change. That a lot of the issues of the Carroll era are being rectified with this staff. Listen to Jaron Reed this week. Very interesting comments. Well, I don't want to say anything bad about the previous setup, but I'm gonna. We're back to old school physical football. They couldn't stop the Steelers' running game at the end of last season to the point of it being humiliating at Lumen Field. And they're going to be tough and physical again. They're going to be creative. They're going to be deceptive. They're going to get after opponents. They're probably going to create more turnovers. They are not going to have the 28th ranked defense next year like they did per DVOA last year. It's going to be a lot better under Mike McDonald and Adam Dirty, with Leonard Williams back, with Byron Murphy added to the mix, with Boya Mafe and Uchenna Nwosu when he gets healthy, and Derek Hall looking a lot better this year. That's going to be a defensive line that's going to cause some teams some problems. And Jaron Reed, don't sleep on Jaron Reed. Don't sleep on Jonathan Hankins and the impact he could have as a nose tackle. And then you've got Tariq Woolen, who looks primed for a return to form with the way that he's been playing in camp and in preseason, and Devin Witherspoon. So there's a lot of reasons to be very optimistic about the defense. And then on offense, it was not an offense that was a massive problem last year. They finished the season well. I personally believe they've upgraded in a massive way by sending off Shane Waldron to the Bears, who get a top 16 rank, and bringing Ryan Grubb in with Scott Huff. And there are question marks about the O-line. And, you know, I am not one of these people that think Geno Smith is absolutely franchise quarterback material, but I also don't think that he is bad enough to warrant being dropped to 22nd from sort of the average position the Seahawks were in last year under Carroll. So I think the Seahawks probably should be above the Colts, the Jaguars. I don't think they should be in front of the Cowboys going into the season. I think they're probably in a similar place, deserve to be in a similar place to the Chargers and the Rams in terms of a power ranking. So if you had them above those two teams, it'd be understandable. If you had them behind those two teams, it would equally be understandable. But I think all of those teams should be ahead of the Falcons and the Steelers. I think the Jets have to show it, like I say, until they can be ranked that high. I think they should all be ahead of the Bears. I think the Browns deserve to be in that same mix because they showed they could do it without a great quarterback last year. But how sustainable is that? And I think the Buccaneers should be in that group as well, rather than 9th. So for me, a fair place for the Seahawks is probably between 12 and 16. I don't see how they can be worse than last year. I'm not going to guarantee that they're going to be miles better and deserve to be in the top 10 either. I think you have to be somewhat cautious, somewhat realistic going into a season until you see a bit of football. So that's what I don't understand with this power ranking. That, like I said, the Falcons, Steelers, Jets, and Bears and Buccaneers are getting a whole heap of faith here, and the Seahawks are being told 22nd. The Cowboys are being told, was it 19th? The Chargers are only 18th. I think the Commanders and the Cardinals and the Titans are too low. I think the Titans have made some good coaching changes, some good player acquisitions there. I think they'll be better than the Vikings and the Saints and the Broncos. Why are the Broncos 23rd? They've got a rookie quarterback who they forced to pick. And he may well be perfect for Sean Payton's system, and that will be justified to force that pick. But I don't think many teams would have been willing to take Bo Nix that early. Sean Payton was. 23rd best team in the NFL. I mean, I don't personally understand this. And all it says to me is there will be opportunities for those people who wish to dabble in a bit of sports betting on some teams who are being clearly slept on. And you may well enjoy the winnings that you get if this is anywhere close to the consensus. I don't believe it is. I don't think it makes any sense. And it just, when I read it, I thought, I've got to do a video on this because it really makes no sense to me. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Don't forget to like the video. SeahawksDraftBlog.com for more analysis. Until next time, bye for now.